At least this movie didn't piss me off as much as the first Annabelle did, cause girl. So Annabelle Comes Home is the latest incarnation of the Annabelle franchise, which is part of the greater Conjuring universe. And as far as I know, this is the 7th movie within the Conjuring universe franchise. And it's safe to say that I've seen pretty much all of them except for The Nun. And with the exception of the Conjuring 1 and 2, they've all been pretty trash. Well, except for Annabelle Creation. Annabelle Creation was alright. I wouldn't call it trash, but The Curse of La Llorona, garbage. The first Annabelle movie, just like I mentioned in the intro, that movie pissed me off. And spoilers if you haven't seen the first Annabelle movie, but when Alfre Woodard, when she ended up sacrificing her life for the White family in the end, oh my god, I was so pissed off when I saw that in the movies, because it's a trope that I talked about even in my review for Ma, where you have these black women characters that are essentially the only reason that they are created is to sacrifice themselves for the White family, and they go to great lengths to do it, and for what? And on the flip side, you hardly ever see the same thing happen when it comes to white people and white families sacrificing themselves to save a black family. And it was like, when they did that to Alfre Woodard's character, oh my god, like you can see the steam coming out of my ears with how enraged I was with that movie. Oh, that pissed me off. So yeah, because of that, I went into this movie thinking it was going to be trash, because again, this is the 7th movie in this franchise, and only 3 out of the 7 have been good to somewhat decent. This movie is directed by Gary Dauberman, who's making his directorial debut with this movie, and it sees the return of Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as Lorraine and Ed Warren, 2 paranormal investigators and demonologists, as they come across the Annabelle doll and they take it home to basically lock it away for what I call the Arkham Asylum for supernatural occult items. And this movie follows their daughter, Judy Warren, who's played by McKenna Grace, who's at home alone with her babysitter, Mary Ellen, played by Madison Eastman, and Mary Ellen's best friend, Daniela, who's played by Katie Sarif. I think that's how you say her name. And well, Daniela gets super curious about all the creepy stuff in the other room, and when Mary Ellen and Judy aren't looking, she sneaks into the room, and not only does she unlock Annabelle's cage, she basically touches everything that's in that room. And so naturally, some shit happens. And of course, you can't have a horror movie without people doing some dumb shit, but what I appreciated about this movie is she wasn't doing dumb stuff just for the sake of doing dumb stuff. Like, you clearly have a room that says do not enter. You clearly have a glass case that Annabelle is in that says please do not open, and yes, she decides to do it anyway. And yes, of course, she has to do it because there wouldn't be a movie if she didn't do it, but what I appreciated, she had a reason for basically defying logic and going into that occult room. Like, I hate when characters, and this seems to be a trope in horror, like they do stupid stuff just for the sake of moving the plot forward, but there's no narrative reason for it. For example, when you go back to Annabelle Creation, there's a moment in Annabelle Creation towards the middle end of the movie where one of the little girls takes Annabelle and holds her over a well and drops her into the well, and then she walks away. But for no other reason but to establish another jump scare, instead of just completely walking away from the well, she decides to turn around and walks back to the well, peers over the well, and stares into the darkness because, you know, as an audience member, oh, something's gonna come out of the well and grab her. But in terms of a narrative reason for her to look into that well, there was none. And I was like, that was stupid. I hated that moment. And I don't feel like there was really any of that in this movie. Now, with that said, though, I don't think this movie was particularly scary. And granted, I'm probably the wrong one to determine what is and what isn't scary. Like, for the most part, horror movies have never scared me. Even when I was super young. Like, I've always wanted a Chucky doll. I've always wanted to try a Ouija board. So it's like, yeah, I'm probably the wrong one to ask what's scary and what's not. But I've always enjoyed horror movies, more so about the narrative and the monsters and all that other stuff. And so that's one of the things I did appreciate about this movie, is all the different monsters. Now granted, I didn't realize until after the fact that this movie was rated R. Like, there was nothing in this movie that struck me as it being rated R. Like, I honestly thought this movie was PG-13. However, despite not being particularly scary, I still like this movie. Like I said, the movie follows Judy Warren, Mary Ellen, and Daniela, and I enjoyed each of their characters, and I thought the 3 of them had great chemistry together, and that they were really strong actors. And funny enough, there's this random character named Bob in this movie. He's not in this movie that much, and he doesn't do that much, but I really like Bob. Bob has balls, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. Also, what I really enjoyed was getting a closer glimpse into this Arkham Asylum of artifacts that was in that room, because just like Daniela, I've always been curious of all the things that was in that room ever since I saw them in the first Conjuring movie. And I feel like if maybe the other writers and directors had as much of a strong love and desire desire for this franchise as maybe James Wan had, this Conjuring universe could have been a very strong and great cinematic universe, because I feel like The Conjuring 1 really revitalized the horror genre, which I believe was faltering at that point. And it's sad that there's been 7 movies in this universe and not that many of them have been that good. And with that said though, like, even though we got glimpses of all the different monsters and creatures associated with the artifacts in that room, I wish they delved more into those creatures, because for the most part, yes, it's an Annabelle movie, but they've already established in all the previous movies that Annabelle herself doesn't do anything. Annabelle is basically a beacon to other spirits and demons. She's basically this universe's version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer's Hellmouth, and that's essentially what makes Annabelle much more dangerous than all the other entities, because with all the other entities, you're only dealing with just that one, but Annabelle attracts them all. So I feel like instead of really delving into all these different creatures, this movie was more so an advertisement of the potential spin-offs to come. But yeah, despite all that, like I said, I enjoyed this movie, and most of that was just based on the strength of the 3 actors and the fact that even though the Warrens weren't in this movie that much, they were still a large presence in this movie. And that's the thing that I really enjoy about the Conjuring movies. I really enjoy the Warren characters and what they bring to this horror franchise. Was this the best movie of the year? No. Was this the best of the Conjuring movies? No. Was this movie as good as Conjuring 1 and 2? No. But I will say out of the 3 Annabelle movies, this was definitely the best of those. And so I would say Annabelle Comes Home is a minor hit. So Annabelle Comes Home, did you see it? What did you think about it? Where does this movie rank in terms of all the other Annabelle movies? Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you can, please hit that thumbs up button and like this video. It'll really help out the channel. And if this is your first time looking at my channel, please check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe for more and tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time. Happy Pride Month!